Welcome to Political Musings on this Monday in January 2025. Normally in January, about this time of year, I do a train songs for the previous year. So it'll be songs from musical artists that had passed in the last, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing music on the show anymore because of licensing issues, which we still have if we do it over the Fishbowl website. But when it gets posted to the pod servers and so forth, then, well, yeah, YouTube, we can't have the licensed music. So, not licensed for that. But I do want to talk about who we lost, because personally I lost some folks. And, if I was going to play a song for my good friend Jack Bishop, who, that's his on-air name. His real name was Irvin Jackson. He died right before my son's wedding in November, just a couple days before. Jack was a radio fixture here in the Metroplex for about 40-50 years. And when I got into the business, it's because of Jack. He always said that the song that he wanted, well, he'd say it's Circle Game, but what he actually wanted was Harry Chapin's All My Life's a Circle, which is a different song. And as much as I love Joni Mitchell, it's not Joni Mitchell that he wanted. It was All My Life's a Circle. So in my songs for 2024 that I will post on the various websites, I'll post them, Spotify and YouTube Music and some of the other sites. I'll put my playlists for 2024. But I personally lost one of my closest and dearest friends, who I've known for almost 50 years, since we were in 6th grade together. She passed away, and she had pneumonia and gone into the ICU. Fortunately, I got down to see her while she was still in the ICU back in December, before, that might have been November even, before she passed away. But a terrible way to go. And it's because she started smoking. She was smoking in junior high when I knew her and never stopped. And she was a chain smoker. It's a horrible way to go. If you smoke, do whatever you need to do to stop. It's not worth it. When people were wearing masks during COVID, and, so many people were upset about having to wear a mask. I'm a rock hound. Rock hounds, when we work in the lab and we're grinding on rocks, we put on a mask. In fact, we put on and now when people are cutting rocks and stuff, you'll see them, they'll have on a full respirator. So watch the YouTube videos. So that's somebody I lost. And then another person that I lost just before New Year's was my Aunt Shirley. Shirley Tumum was a philanthropist. She started Star Furniture down in Houston, Texas. Some of you may have heard of it. In the 90s, she became friends with Warren Buffett and sold it to him. So Star Furniture is no longer in the Tumum Wolf family, but it, we still think of it as our store. And she did so much. She was on the board for the synagogue. She was very involved, and she helped so many people. And I just want to remember Shirley Tumum, wonderful person. Who are some of the other people that died? Well, I think number one is we have to remember Jimmy Carter. President Jimmy Carter was, in my mind, the most underrated president in his lifetime. He did so many remarkable things. I mean, we think about the Camp David Accords, getting peace between Israel and Egypt that holds today. That's amazing. He went around the world after his presidency. During his presidency, he did some remarkable things, especially on the world stage. He had an initiative against climate change and a green energy plan way back in the 70s, way back before everyone was really into it, right? He put solar panels on the White House, and then the guy who I used to call the root of all evil, Reagan, took the solar panels off and had to reverse it because, Republicans are petty. They can't let a good thing happen, and Trump's going to try and undo a lot of the good that Biden's done just because he's petty. And it's really kind of sad. So that's somebody we lost. And I thought it was interesting. We had a little bit of shade happening at the Carter funeral, where first of all, George Bush kind of walked right past him, tapped Obama on the belly, kind of and shook hands with the Clintons and the Pences and Al Gore and all these other folks that former presidents and vice presidents, and totally ignored Trump. When Trump shook former Vice President Pence's hand, Pence's wife just gave Trump the coldest stare and didn't even get up. She just looked at him. I mean, can you blame her? Can you blame her? The guy sent a mob to kill him, to kill her husband. I wouldn't have stood up or shook his hand. I'd have given him the same cold glare. And then Biden made some remarks in his eulogy that, well, he kind of pointed out how bad it was. But we lost some other folks. We lost James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones was the voice of Darth Vader. He was a fantastic actor. He was in one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. A lot of people don't realize that. He is, I think he's the navigator on the plane. The one with Slim Pickens where he rides the missile down. If you've never seen it, go watch Dr. Strangelove. It is whenever there's someone starts talking about fluoride in the water, I always think of Dr. Strangelove because in that movie, General Jack D. Ripper, yes, that's the name of the character, he's lost his mind, and he's decided that the communists are trying to infiltrate America through fluoridation in the water. Yeah, and it's this whole thing about precious bodily fluids. So whenever one of my friends would send me something from Alex Jones, because Alex Jones, another slime bag from Texas, whenever he would, go on rants about fluoride and fluoridation, well then, I'd just send him a little clip of Dr. Strangelove. You and your precious bodily fluids, don't get the fluoride in your water. Oh, heaven forbid. Think about fluoride. There's a type of rock called fluorite. And it's beautiful, comes in all kinds of colors, all kinds of beautiful different colors. Reds and purples and pinks and all kinds of things. But what it does, the reason it's called fluorite, is because it fluoresces. When you shine a UV light on it in the dark, it turns a whole different color and glows. And it's really quite fun. And people go night rock hounding to look for fluorite, which is with just a UV flashlight. There's there's something called Uprolite that people go to Lake Michigan to find. It's a type of sodalite that when you shine a UV light on it at night, it will glow in orange colors and stuff, and pretty colors. So I'm a fan of fluoride. And I'm a fan of fluoride because, helps keep your teeth from rotting. So, and maybe there's some problems with it. There are some. You can get too much, and like anything. But, Looney Tunes, too, has been nominated to be head of the CDC or Department of Health or something like that, some cabinet position. RFK Jr. My sister said something to me, one of my sisters, about another one of my sisters that I will forever use, and credit to her now, but in the future I'm just gonna own it. She said my sister is propaganda ready. Like being camera ready, but for propaganda. Do you know somebody like that? I bet you do. And they're on the left and the right. I have one friend who keeps sending me stuff of Marianne Williamson. Yeah, I know she's on our side of the aisle, but she's nutty as a fruitcake. And the things she's saying are just bullshit. And she is also filled with, and the things she's saying about the California wildflowers, she's just wrong. She's wrong. It's bad information. It's lying. And the president-elect is also lying about what's going on there. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. But let's talk about some of the other people that we lost this year. We lost one of my, so many of my favorites. We lost Dame Maggie Smith. I love Maggie Smith. Young people will know her from, she was Professor McGonagall in all the Harry Potter movies. But she was in so many different things. You know, some of the older folks will say, oh, she was, they loved her for Downton Abbey. I loved her in the movie Murder by Death. If you ever want to see a fun movie that's kind of silly, it's a parody of all of the like Agatha Christie and film noir movies. And it's just so much fun. We've lost, well, most of the cast of that movie is, I don't think there's hardly anyone surviving. We lost so many. Maggie Smith and David Niven played Dick and Dora Charleston, which is a parody of Nick and Nora Charles from the Thin Man movies, which I love. Peter Falk is in it. He plays Sam Diamond, which is a parody of Sam Spade, played by Humphrey Bogart. Peter Sellers was in it. He was supposed to be Charlie Chan, a parody of him. All four of those are gone. James Coco was in it. There are so many greats. Truman Capote was in it. Nancy Walker was in it. All these people are gone now. But we lost Dame Maggie Smith. We lost David Soul from Starsky and Hutch. Terry Garr. If you have never seen Young Frankenstein or Tootsie, stream it now. Two of the greatest movies ever made, especially Young Frankenstein. And Terry Garr was in a number of Mel Brooks movies, and she was just hilarious. She was a fantastic actress. Terry Garr in Young Frankenstein is the one that you'll see roll in the hay, put the candle back. What knockers? Thank you. Cheetah Rivera. We lost Cheetah Rivera. Fantastic actor, dancer, beautiful, was doing so much all the way to the end. Chris Christopherson. You know, the Highwayman, Willie Nelson's the only one surviving. Chris Christopherson was amazing. And from my generation, when we think of A Star is Born, we think of Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson. Many of you may know the song Me and Bobby McGee, made famous by Janis Joplin. That's a Chris Christopherson song. That's who wrote that. We lost Shannon Doherty. Tito Jackson, one of the Jackson Five. There's another one, Jackson Five. We lost Glynis Johns. Glynis Johns. She was in Mary Poppins. She was the mother in Mary Poppins. Mitzi Gaynor, another famous dancer and actress. So many people that died. You know, there were actors and dancers and musicians and politicians. We lost Dr. Ruth Westheimer. We lost Martin Mull. Martin Mull so much. There's a whole period in my life where I was watching, you know, crazy movies with Martin Mull in them, and TV shows, and Fernwood Tonight. Norman Jewison. Norman Jewison, the guy who directed Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah, Fiddler on the Roof. By the way, the director of Fiddler on the Roof with Jew in his name turns out not Jew. So, so many, so many. Who else did we lose? And we talked about Jimmy Carter. Linda Lavin passed away. She was famous for the TV show Alice. And another fantastic actress. It was in so many. She was on Broadway. She was in so many TV shows and movies. She was did a short stint on Barney Miller. So many different people. We lost Bob Newhart. That's really sad, you know? So many greats that passed away last year. And I think, you know, nobody had more impact on the world than Jimmy Carter. And much of that was after he left office. Jimmy Carter redefined the post-presidency. Yeah. But he solved the guinea worm problem. Millions of lives were saved because of what he did. There was a problem with an eye disease that was spreading in Africa, I think. And he went to the pharmaceutical companies. They had a product that would cure it, that would treat it. And he got them to donate the medicine, and then he got the leaders of these countries to guarantee that the medicine would go without charge to the people that needed it, and that they wouldn't be, you know, then taking what they were getting for free and charging it. So millions of lives impacted. He went around making sure that countries all over the world had free and fair elections. Right? He negotiated peace. I had a friend who was on President Carter's detail for a while, Secret Service detail. And he said, you know, I've worked on for other presidents as well. And he said, a lot of them, nobody wanted anything to do with him. Everywhere Jimmy Carter went, he was loved. He was welcomed with open arms, and everyone was so happy to see him because he was such a genuinely good person. And he, you know, he wrote many books. He was a nuclear engineer, worked on submarines, went in to reactors when they were failing with the hazmat suits, when you can only do it for just a few seconds, you know, a couple of minutes at most. And he would get down there and, you know, do what needed to be done to save the day. Remarkable, remarkable man. No one on earth will ever be the same, because that he changed so many lives. He was in his 90s going out and building houses for the homeless with Habitat for Humanity. Amazing. He could have just done, what a lot of them do, go play golf or basketball or whatever, but he kind of made it a thing and put pressure on other former presidents to dedicate their lives to service after they leave the presidency. But nobody did it like President Jimmy Carter. So he lived to 100, but never wasted a minute. We've also lost people here, I guess it's not last year, but this year, 19 fatalities in the fires in California. Currently, if you can go to fire.ca.gov/incidents, and you can see a map and the totals. Currently, 124 wildfires burning in California. 40,588 acres burned. 19 fatalities. 12,300 plus structures destroyed. 20,967 emergency responses. It's a scary thing, but I recommend everyone go out there, take a look. You can zoom in, you can see the Palisades fire, the Hearst fire, the Eaton fire, and those are just the big ones. If you zoom in, you'll see, those are the ones that got their big names. But they're in no way all there is. And they need to stop lying on the right about who did this and who's responsible. This is... Part of this is climate change. And the folks, MAGA and his donors, they don't want to do anything to stop it. And the water pressure, well, when you've got this much demand, there's going to be a loss in water pressure, and you're going to get, the tanks are going to be drained. But one of the things that happened that they were saying was the problem, which it wasn't, was that Gavin Newsom wouldn't sign something and sued over water rights. Well, there are water wars going on. I can remember back in 2008, T. Boone Pickens, who is no longer with us, he had this big windmill thing. Well, he was making money off of windmills. But the other thing that the billionaires were buying is water rights. And this family that is this couple who started the company Wonderful, which makes Palm Wonderful and a lot of your almond products and pistachio products. They're made by this company. When the company makes stuff I like, I like pomegranates. I like almonds. I like cooking with almond oil. I like pistachios. But they own quite a large percentage of the water rights in California. Like T. Boone Pickens, he pretty much stole the water from El Paso and a lot of West Texas. He bankrupted and ran under a bunch of towns in West Texas because he purchased all the water rights and then diverted the water away from the cities, from the towns, or made them pay big money to get it back. So that's what's going on in California. One of the things that happened was they wanted to say, instead of the water, when there's fires and there's tragedy going on, that the water should be concentrated in the urban suburban areas and not to the farms. So this is the first time now we've got that, and that's a problem. That's a problem. The water's getting diverted to farms to grow almonds in the desert. Okay? Sorry. It is. They're growing things in places where things like that don't grow. And it takes an awful lot of water. And it's a finite resource. And we need to focus on that and not on... And the cuts actually is not true. He didn't cut the fire budget. It was cut a little bit for the start of 2025, but not really, because it's been set aside. They've actually doubled the budget over the past 4 or 5 years for the fire department in California. So just don't believe the nonsense you're hearing. Just don't believe it. But let's address President-elect Festivus. I call him Festivus because, Festivus for the rest of us. Now is the time for the airing of grievances. He gave a speech. And he got somebody in the Fox newsroom, in the production room in Fox News, put up a chyron under his speech that is just perfect. It got taken down probably pretty quick. I'm sure somebody got mad about it. But while Trump's speaking, it says, Trump fixes your bathroom. Because he's complaining about water pressure. Oh my God, this is a Seinfeld episode. There's a Seinfeld episode about water pressure, and he's still talking about it. And windmills. I know you MAGA voters, you were all very concerned about windmills. That was the number one. And we're back to Greenland. Junior went to Greenland where he met with his drug dealer. I guess nobody told him that was actual snow, not cocaine. And talked about it like, because we want all their resources. They're saying it out loud, folks. The reason that he wants Greenland is he wants to make money, and they've just turned it, the White House, into cash. They're making so much money off of this Oh my gosh. I've got the screen up for fire.ca.gov, and I just saw another big area go yellow, red. Means a new area just sparked up in flames. That's um, it's scary. If they're not getting it more under control, they're getting it less control because the Santa Ana winds are picking back up. This is one of the things that they were talking about on one of the shows. Oh, I forget which one. I think it might have been Lawrence O'Donnell. It's like a hurricane without the water. It's the winds, and the winds combined with they had a bunch of rain, and a bunch of stuff grew in these hills. Because hey, all that water and it makes things grow. And then they had a drought, and all that stuff dried up. And then the winds came and fire. All they need is one spark and a fire's going, and then the winds carry those embers and those fires to other places and start other fires. So it's the whole northern part. My sister lives in Santa Monica. One of my sisters. I have 4. My sister had to evacuate twice, and I think she needs to evacuate further. She's gone south. And if you go to this website, this fire.ca.gov, you can see where how much is contained. So the Pacific Palisades fire, that's 23,713 acres all on its own, just that one fire. It's got 14% containment. The Eaton fire, 14,117 acres, 33%. Looks like they've almost got the Hearst fire under control. It's at 95% containment. But wow, it's pretty scary. Pretty scary. But if you want to see what I'm seeing, if you want to know, it's fire.ca.gov. But let's go back to numbnuts. Now, I'm sure you all were really concerned about making California a state, which I absolutely love the way that these folks are just pushing back and laughing at him. So the Prime Minister, I think it was the Prime Minister of not the Prime Minister, one of the politicos in Canada said, well, we can do an exchange. We'll take all your blue states. We'll take, California and Oregon and Washington, and we'll give them free health care. And, they'll have all the benefits of being Canadian. I mean, it sounds like a good deal, and unfortunately, I'm in Texas. I'm not moving anytime soon, but I'm not going to give up anyway. I refuse to give in to these fascists. And I'm sorry, I'm going to call them fascists because they're fascists. It's just, you're going to act like if you don't want to be called a fascist, quit doing fascist stuff. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Yeah. I'm not seeing a lot like I was before in other parts of the city. That seems. Another thing that happened was people went and they watered heavily all around their houses. They turned on all their sprinklers, and that took a lot of water, but it might have saved their house. I mean, you can't blame them. It works. It works. They basically created a marsh around their house. If it works, it works. But yeah, people. It's so much. It's incredible what's happening with these fires. Let's go back to numbnuts. So, then we have Mexico. Because I know you were all concerned and really wanted him to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. I know that was on your to-do list, wasn't it? Sure, it was on mine. Yes. Well, I absolutely love the president of Mexico right now, Claudia Sheinbaum. She's one of the tribe. Yep. She's also an economist. But she said, she put up a map of America in the 1800s, where Mexico went all the way up into Colorado. And she called it Mexican America. Mwah! Chef kiss. Perfect. Perfect. She has just, like no other, been trolling Trump like crazy and just not giving him the time of day, just laughing at him. The whole world is laughing at him. But those of you who voted for Trump because you thought he was going to bring the price of eggs down? Was this what you were worried about? We're going to... the people that said to me, well, he didn't start any wars. He said he couldn't rule out using military force in Panama and Greenland. Greenland, my little town of Denton, Texas. My little Denton town of Denton, Texas. Let me tell you the population of Denton, Texas. Population of Denton, Texas is 158,349 as of 2023. So it's grown since then, I promise you. It's gotten bigger. The population of Greenland, of all of Greenland, is like 55,000. So Denton is 3 times the size in population. What they want there is nothing to do with logistics. It's they want there is oil and minerals and all kinds of rare earths that they want to get. Now that much of the ice has melted, more of it can be reached. So it reminds me of the song from Cabaret, Money Makes the World Go Round. That clinking, clanking sound, it's all about money. Well, we are coming to the end here. What do I want to leave you with? Texas Ledge is starting back up, and that for me is the beginning of lobby season. Now, see, here in Texas, our legislature only meets every other year, odd numbered years, from January through June. And they can do a lot of damage in that time. And so, I'm sure there's going to be more attacks on trans kids, which just makes me mad. It's just, they're just bullies. They're bullies. They're bullying little kids, and I won't have it. Stop it. I'll be showing up for that. So I want to leave you with this thought. Get involved. Get involved locally. Get involved. And I make no bones about it. I am a Democrat. I have been a Democrat my whole life, and I'm a Democrat for the reason that we stand up for those less fortunate. And we stand up for people's rights, for people's individual rights. And so, if you really want to help, run for office. Run at the county level. You can do it. I did it. Yeah, I didn't win. Yeah, it was expensive. Yeah, it was time consuming. But, you know what? I made somebody spend some money on a race they weren't planning to. So let's make sure that there are no Republicans in the next races that go unopposed. And those state level, you don't have to run at the national level. Tell you what, the best thing to run for is the county level here in Texas. And I think that's true in a lot of places. Because you get paid well, you get benefits. It's a good job. And you don't have to, it's a smaller district, so you got less campaigning to do, less area to cover, and then you don't have to have a second home somewhere else. You don't have to go live in Austin for 6 months or in D.C. or wherever. You get to stay at home. So do that. Get involved. Go help a candidate. Just election season never really ends. There's always something. There's special elections. There's municipal elections. We'll have those in May. We'll vote on whatever stupid constitutional amendments they put in the legislature come this November. But in other states they have elections. They have state level elections going on in the in between years, and they vote for things like governor and the state rep, state assembly, whatever, state senators. There are those. Get involved locally, because we need each other and we need to get involved. We need everyone to be active. Don't give up. Don't give up. I honestly, lately I've wanted to give up. I'm like, try to tell people, but whatever. We can't give up. We have to face the fascism. We have to fight it. We have to help people. If you can help, donate to some legitimate rescue operations in California. Do what you can to help your neighbors. help other people. That's the thing we need to learn from the life of Jimmy Carter. That's it. It's not about you. It's about helping others. It's about everyone else. That's all I have for you today. As I remind you every week, get registered, get informed, get politically active, and go vote. And if you don't have anything nice to say, come sit by me.